Hello world, hope you're all doing well. Today I want to talk about a subject called self-harming or self-abuse and how God, our Father, views it when somebody self-harm or self-abuse. Many people think that as long as what they are doing is not harming anyone else, it's only themselves, it's okay with that. Like, it's not a sin, it's not evil. And the world has taught us, in many regards, that harming somebody else is actually worse than harming yourself. Okay? So you will see it in many instances where people who self-harm, tend to receive more sympathy, and it's not challenged as hard as people who harm other people. Like, if you harm another person, society will react instantly. But if you are harming yourself, the reaction is much more slower. And that has somehow got into people's brain to think that self-harm is less wrong than harming somebody else. But I'm here this morning to give you an amazing news, something that I personally had never thought of until I ran into some material that gave me time to think about it. It actually turns out, and it seems to me, that God, our Father above, values you more than any other thing in the world. He values the self more than any other thing in the world. So, in the eyes of God, self-harm is actually worse than when you harm somebody else. And I'm going to give you the explanation for that. God is like a father, a parent, and we are like his children, right? So imagine you have a child, and then somebody comes running at them trying to harm them. It is very easy. You can just interfere, punch the attacker, and end the attack and save your child. Okay? This is the relationship between parent and child when the parent is mainly there standing against any form of external threat that could harm his children. But think about it this way. What happens when the child is hurting themselves? If the child is self-harming, the parent is literally powerless. There is no way of helping a person who's decided to destroy themselves in a way that you would save them from somebody trying to hurt them from the outside. So when you look at it from that angle, self-harming becomes something actually worse in the eyes of God, because God wants freedom. He has given us freedom of choice. And when somebody is attacking you, it is very easy for God and his angels to deflect that attack, okay? But when you are harming yourself, and since you are a creature with free will, that is much more complicated to help you and take you out of that hole than it would be if it was somebody that was attacking you from the outside. So, and the devil unfortunately has understood that. So he has locked people in a pattern, in an ideology where they believe that as long as they are not hurting somebody else, the behavior that they are doing is okay. So there is a whole bunch of things that people do, and they follow this logic that it's not hurting anybody, so it's okay. They are abusing themselves. If you go through the Bible, there's a whole list of sins that people commit against themselves, but God still considers it a sin. The world will tell you, you know what, who is he hurting? It's between consenting adults and stuff like that. But trust me, God values more. God values more the self than he values the group. Okay? For God, the individual is the key to the success of every enterprise. Don't get into this logic of if it's not hurting anybody else, then it's okay. It is not okay. It must not hurt anybody else, that is true, but whatever you're doing must not also hurt yourself. I'm not gonna get into the really filthy scenes because I know some children could be watching this video. But let's talk about behaviors such as smoking. Do you think that smoking is okay? Because if you are in a remote area, maybe you are not around people, it's hurting only you. It's absolutely not. And there are other more less intoxicating behaviors that I'm not gonna get into it right now. I don't want this video to be taken down, with all the censorship going on. That's the world, right? The world doesn't want you to believe that you are valuable, so they'll claim to protect you when actually they are putting you in a cage where you can abuse yourself. What I want to tell you is this: whoever is that in that logic that hurting yourself is less dangerous or is not as bad as hurting somebody else, I want you to know today that God says hurting yourself is actually worse than hurting somebody else. But don't hurt yourself and hurt no one else. But begin with yourself. Don't hurt yourself. Okay, that was just my thought for the day. See you later. Bye-bye.